I don't like alcohol and drugs back home. It's easily accessible. I heard like marijuana is now illegal now in Canada. That's crazy. You see kids walking on the street at 11 p.m. and midnight, and there's no danger here. It's uber safe.
What is up, everybody? It is Ed Gow Jr. of the Dad Central Show and Dad Central, and the man with a plan is beside me. What's going on, man?
Well, Ed, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Drew Solon of Dad Central and the Dad Central Show. What's going on is, I just came back from a trip up to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and working with an Indigenous organization. They had a 3-day event, and the first day was father engagement or father encouragement. So I was able to share a little bit of my story and then run some workshops for the participants. And one of the things that I think really stood out to me is just, I think the importance of encouraging fathers, wherever they are, whatever their situation is, and how important that is. But also, I think the need for helping, I guess, all parents with important skills to build healthy, effective relationships. So one of the workshops was really about communication and some simple principles, but it really helped create great conversation and a lot of reflection, and then some practical action. So that was cool. Yeah, that's what's going on. What's going on with you?
Oh, well, as you say, as I tell you, gradually going tornado, but I love going into the Indigenous culture. I learned so much by just sitting back and listening, especially the respect for elders
Hmm.
is so important. And the phrase I when I think of Indigenous, I always have the land, the land.
Mm,
They always talk about
yeah,
the land. So it's a really good education, eye opener, and it's also peaceful.
yeah,
It's really peaceful getting out of the rat race of metropolitan cities and just going and with a history and a culture that we can learn so much from.
yeah. That connection to the land and
Mhm,
there's an element of just respect and reverence for
mhm.
what the land, or the environment provides, and the mutually respectful, beneficial relationship I think always stands out. And they're very spiritual, and so
Yes.
it's interesting how the land embodies some of that for them. So yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely enjoy that aspect too. So
Yeah, the land and respect for elders is
mhm,
huge, and I always whenever I get an opportunity to be part of that culture, I always come out better,
mhm,
always come out
yeah,
better.
well said.
Speaking about better, this is the Dad Central Show. The Dad Central Show is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and Dove Men Plus Care believes that care is the best of a man because when men care for themselves and others, there's a positive impact. And I think we have a new friend today is probably the farthest away conversation wise, maybe because I know Ralph was from Australia.
That's right.
So
Nick Johnson, he was originally from Sweden, but he was in Indonesia, I believe.
yeah, so we're a truly global conversation. And
Absolutely.
I saw the gentleman wrote an article on a platform. I said, hey, really good article about dads and father. Reached out to him. And now, after Drew's introduction, you're going to get a chance to meet him from South Korea. So, Drew, I'll leave you to the intro.
Very well. We're excited to have Patrick Cloutier. He's a proud 45-year-old French Canadian father to an energetic 6-year-old, I think 7-year-old boy now. So he embarked on fatherhood a little bit later in life, but wouldn't have it any other way. For the past 22 years, he has called South Korea his home. Now, we'll get to probably hear some of this. He says it's stolen his heart for many reasons. So looking forward to hearing some of that. And so over the years, he's ventured into various businesses. He's owned a popular pub in downtown Seoul. He's run an import business. He's even managed a cram school. So beyond his entrepreneurial pursuits, he's an avid gym goer with a black belt in kickboxing. And he says he's always striving to keep the dreaded dad bod at bay. Yes, to that. Absolutely. So Patrick is the creator of the website and blog daddysimply.com, and his goal is helping dads achieve wellness, growth, and fun. So, Patrick, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you here.
Well, that's a great intro. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Good stuff. Good stuff. We're really
Awesome,
excited to
guys.
have you today
You guys
with
are doing great.
well, it's really good to have you as part of the conversation today. Drew, I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, Patrick. Well, we enjoy opening up the show, getting a little bit of the backstory of our
Right.
guest. What
Right.
was life like for you growing up? And obviously, we know there's going to be a pathway that takes you from, here in Canada, ultimately to Seoul. But tell us a little bit about your backstory growing up.
Well, basically growing up in Ottawa, in Ontario, of course. Um, Maybe you can hear from my accent, I'm a French Canadian. So mom and dad and I and my two brothers spoke French at home. And yeah, just the basic growing up in Ottawa type of nothing special going on. And always thought there was something, I guess, bigger across the pond or whatever pond you want to talk about. And I ended up in South Korea in 2000 when I was 23 years old. Um, the reason why I came all the way here is I wanted to explore and see the ocean for the first time and see all these possible cool stuff. So I came here on a contract to teach English, actually, which is not bad for a French Canadian, right? So I came here, and that's 24 years ago. I'm still here. I haven't moved.
Why South outside of teaching the English? Were there any other countries you were looking at, or that was the best one available? Let's go for it.
Right. There were options because I was like downtown Ottawa looking for um, jobs teaching English, actually. The reason why I fell into teaching English is I was working at a hotel downtown in Ottawa, and one of the guys said, "Hey, I'm quitting my job. I'm moving to South Korea." So I thought, why are you going there? And I found the information on the newspaper, and I just followed that address, and there were like postings from Poland to Vietnam to South Korea, and I chose Busan, South Korea, actually, for the first contract, which is down south of South Korea, near the ocean. And yeah, and after that, actually, I got married in Busan to my lovely wife, and we moved together back to Ottawa for a little bit. We went back home for like 4 years or so, and we came back. We decided to come back to South Korea because we missed it. That's all. It's very interesting. Yep.
What was your family's response for you? Because not, I know I had a feeling there'd be a giggle there. What was their initial response when you went the first time, and then
Yeah.
what was their response when you went for good?
Right. I think the first time my dad was really into the fact that he had his baby son because I'm the baby of the family, and he thought, "Wow, you're going to South Korea? You just do it." He didn't hesitate. Gave me some traveler's checks, and I was out the way. So I think he liked the fact that I was like embarking on a pretty adventurous type of ride in my life. And I think my mom also, honestly, I don't remember my mom's reaction. I think she was probably, my parents were pretty open to stuff like this. So there was no like initial like huge reaction. They're just kind of, wondering, is it safe to go there and so on? Is everything ready for you once you arrive? And my dad was like ready to let me go, at 23 years old, still living with mom and dad. I guess they were thinking this might be the way to go. So here I am.
Mm. Well, I'm curious. Obviously, having your dad's support sounded like it was,
Right.
empowering for you. But
Right.
maybe can you talk about like how important was the influence of your father's perspective when it came to making your decision there?
Right. My dad was a director at the Bank of Nova Scotia, which obviously you know well. Um, he dealt with customers and businesses all his career. So he was a smooth talker, great talker,
Mm,
very eloquent, very cool guy. He's a Libra, or he was a Libra, like I am.
mm,
So like you introduced the Daddy Simply, the subheadline is balancing. Libras balance everything from wellness growth to fun, and my dad did that, and I think that influenced me a lot. At home, lots of love, lots of hugs, kissing. There's dancing in the kitchen with my mom. So there was always, lots of communication at home, and it was great to have them as parents. And dad always had my back. If I had ideas, he pretty much supported everything. And thanks to him, because if mom and dad would have said no to South Korea, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. That's for sure. So thanks to them, yeah, here I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, what I heard from that is just the power of that example that he set, as you were growing up, and your appreciation for his support and how he did that. And he sounded like he was very affectionate with you. Sounds like he and your mom really had a great relationship, and
Mhm.
they were able to demonstrate that to you and your
Right,
siblings. And
right,
to know that they were open and willing to receive, it felt like you could probably bring anything to them. That to me is those are tenets of really outstanding relationships
right.
in your family, and that helps
Yeah,
support you to be a little more adventurous, be a little
right.
more risk taking. And I'll
Yeah.
use this as an opportunity to just throw in that really aligns with a lot of the research, around fathers
Mhm.
when it comes to as children develop and their ability to take risks and to
Mhm.
go out and explore and take adventure in the world. The
Right,
stronger the connection, the closer they are.
right.
Um, that helps children when it comes to taking some of those type of behaviors. And so
Sure.
sounds like you had the right foundation. So just want to
Yeah,
say that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I was the baby of the family, as I mentioned. So my older brothers are 7 and 9 years my elder. So
Mm,
it's quite a big difference while growing up. So when my oldest brother was, you know, 20 years old, for example, well, I was 11, right? So things are quite different at home. So you got two adults or four adults and me, right?
mm,
Basically. So yeah, you learn a lot. You grow up quickly, and um, I think coming all the way here because I'm far from you guys. I sure don't miss the winters back home. That's for sure. I'm okay here. Yeah, I guess like coming all the way here also has to make the person grow up, right?
mm,
Mature very quickly.
right,
So I truly appreciate the fact that mom and dad not they didn't take me by the hand in any way, but they did kind of show me the way. Here,
right.
go. You want to go?
Absolutely.
Just go.
That's
So it's
great.
good. Mm,
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Ed.
What were some of the characteristics that you admired about your father?
right, right. I think his calm demeanor.
Mm,
He has that. I don't know that word. I can't pinpoint it, but he was kind of that cool cat in the room, and everybody knew he's got that big smile, and that persona that didn't show too much, but showed just enough to show that I'm in the room and here I am. He was well known downtown in Ottawa because his bank was in downtown Ottawa, is like the main bank for Scotia. So he had lots of like partners that he had to approve business loans for, or so on and so forth. So if you went to a restaurant downtown, if you went to a jewelry shop downtown, sports cards, or like a whatever it may be, shoe shop, people knew him. So they literally called him by the first name. So that was quite impressive for me to see. So if I needed to go with a date, don't tell my wife. Um, Downtown Ottawa, well, they knew who I was, right? So that was quite cool. So yeah, that's my dad for you, and I miss him quite dearly. He actually passed away the first year I was in South Korea.
Oh
So
my,
may he
wow.
rest in
oh,
peace.
so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. That's I didn't want to catch you off guard there, but yeah, it was the
That's
first year after my first contract. I had to go back home to take care of him. So,
wow.
but yeah, he's looking over me. He's over me, and he's proud of listening to our conversation today.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, when you have such a powerful influence in your life, it means a lot. And obviously, sorry to hear about your loss. And
That's okay.
obviously,
Thank you.
but his influence lives on through you,
Right.
and you have that opportunity to continue his legacy. That's
Right.
great.
Absolutely.
Um, well, let's talk then a little bit about maybe your journey into fatherhood.
Right.
What was that process like for you? Were there fears? Were there hopes? Were there
Mm.
challenges that came up in that process?
I'm not gonna lie about fears and, doubts and so on. Surely, as most of us as dads probably get, or moms or whoever it may be getting into parenthood, um, I think like, and I don't want to talk about death over the over the video, but my mom passed away. Okay, that was in
Mm,
2014. So at that time, that made me realize, after being married almost 10 years with my wife, that we didn't have kids of our own. So if ever we are on our deathbeds, whether my wife or I, we won't have kids to surround us in the hospital or whatever you want to call it. So um, that opened our eyes, after being married a decade. We thought,
mhm,
geez, it's about time. I think it's time. And it's not because we didn't want kids in the beginning. We just never really thought about it or never talked about it. um, I guess it's from the grace of my mom's death, unfortunately, that we have my son, because she
mhm,
opened our eyes saying, hey, you need kids. And that's one of my regrets in life, is not having my son earlier, because wow, what a fantastic ride it's been. And from everything I've accomplished in my life, and I've got a list of things, um, that son of mine is like, wow, fantastic. I've never thought it'd be such a great thing to become a father. And um, I'm 47 now, actually. Uh, just to correct my blog, I should update the intro of my blog there. I'm 47, or I will be 47. So we got 7 years different, 40 years difference, my son and I. So he's 7, I'm 47. So we got 40 years difference. So yeah, it's been up and down, but he keeps me on my toes. Like you mentioned, keeping the dad bod at bay. He's helping me with that, actually, because he
mhm.
makes me run around. He's got, you know what? He's got a red belt in Taekwondo, and he's only 7.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, he's got something. So he's very active. He's super smart. I'm trying to teach him French nowadays. So there's lots of things going on. But yeah, fatherhood got me, and I won't ever let it go. It's the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life.
Mm. Yeah, it's amazing to hear that come from you. You know, but I think it's common. I hear that time and time again from working with
Yeah,
dads, and no matter their situation or context, there's just this deep, I guess, desire and
yeah,
drive,
yeah,
as well as feeling of great. Uh, I'm struggling with my words, but it's
yeah,
very meaningful and
yeah.
impactful for them, and they
I
have
think.
such a. Go ahead.
Mm, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the other fact is that, I'm a non-Korean in South Korea, right? So
Okay.
unlike back home in Canada, it's multicultural. You got people from, it's a melting pot of whoever, whenever, at whatever time. In South Korea, it's quite well. Uh, Monocultural instead of a melting pot. So, not many non-Koreans are walking the street, for example. There are some in some neighborhoods, but the point of that is, um, you know, I don't have my family here.
Hmm.
My friends from kindergarten, my high school friends, they're not here with me. So my son makes things a little less lonely. Not that I'm lonely or anything of that nature, but I think like having that little boy beside me, along with my wife, of course, is that it makes things a little less lonely on my part. Being in
Hmm.
a exotic country, although I call this home now, being here half my life, but still, having that kid, having that little boy, it's quite a great feeling to have there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk about the challenges of raising a child in, let's say, in South Korea versus
Right.
maybe being here close to family, close to
Right.
connections, close to
Right.
things that are familiar to you.
Sure.
What's that been like, and how have
Yeah.
you worked through that?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been here half my life, so this is kind of home, right? I haven't been back to Ottawa for 10 years. It's been 10 years since I've been back home. Home, I don't know where home is anymore, but this is probably home. So actually, I booked a trip with my family in June. So in a few months, I'll be back in Ottawa and introduce my son to my family. They've never met
Mm,
him, right?
wow.
Yeah, so it's time. Um, I don't know what was the question, Drew. I'm sorry. It's late here.
The
It's
challenges of
12:30 here.
raising,
Yep.
a child, or
Mhm.
having your
Yeah.
family
Sure, sure.
without family close by,
Sure.
without social connection. Well, the typical
Mm.
familiar things that you've
Right.
grown up with.
Right. I think it hasn't been a big challenge in all honesty, and I'm knocking on wood here. Um, I think we stand out more than the other families, of course, because I'm a Caucasian man walking around, so people know us in the neighborhood very, 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 very vividly know us in the neighborhoods, which is good. It's all positive. There's no big drawbacks or negative or challenges. In all honesty, I think the biggest thing here is that the the country is very well educated here. They like education. They study hard. They study until late at night. And that's something that I do want some part for my son, but I don't want to overdo it with my son like a lot of the families do here. So that's not happened yet,
Okay.
but it's starting to happen already. You got kindergartners and they're going to math school after school, and it's like piano and violin, and you got art school, and which is good, I think, because they're learning well. But I think it could be overwhelming for younger kids. So I'm not in that phase yet, but I could see that slowly creeping up on me. So
Mm,
I think that will be the main challenge in the future, because otherwise, my son is very adaptive. He's been making friends all over the neighborhood. He goes to taekwondo, he goes to school, and he's actually starting probably math next month. So yeah, I mean, that's probably my biggest challenge here.
mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's interesting though, because it's the type of influences, whether they be cultural, whether they be social, whether they be, you know, um, whatever they are, the the challenge of you know being a parent
Mhm.
when these maybe competing or contradictory influences that
Right.
maybe don't go align with your values or align with the
Right.
way that you think that is actually best for your child. I think
Right.
that's actually, I think, a very it's a common challenge, but the context is always different. So your context is going to be different than, let's say, a father who's here, and maybe the biggest
Sure.
challenge him is the social media influence and the
Sure.
technology, and
Sure.
what these 11-year-olds, and I think of my situation, these 11-year-olds are bringing
Mhm.
these devices to school, and I'm like,
Sure.
my children don't need these devices, and what does that
Sure.
influence mean? So I think it is very real and very true, but that's important to recognize, I think.
Right.
What
And
is the
mm,
value that I hold, and
sure.
how do I shield or protect or prepare
Right.
my child to
Sure.
navigate these other influences that may not be relevant and appropriate for based on our family values?
Right, absolutely. And where's the greener grass, right? Is it on your side? Is it on my side? Is it on their side? No, there's no greener grass anywhere. Like you mentioned, like whether it be social media influences or like I don't like alcohol and drugs back home
Right.
in Canada. It's rampant, or it's easy. It's easily accessible. I heard like marijuana is now illegal now in Canada. It's
Hmm.
that's crazy. And here it's impossible. There's no drugs on the streets here. You cannot find anything. Not that I've
Wow.
tried or anything, but there's nothing around here. It's
Right.
super safe. Like what time is it now? It's almost 1 a.m. here. And I'm in a study room here, and there's like full of high schoolers here studying. So, and it's 1 a.m. there on Friday, right?
Hmm.
So, and you see kids walking on the street at, 11 p.m. and midnight, and there's no danger here. It's uber safe. And again, where's the greener grass?
Right.
There's no greener grass, I guess.
Right.
So on the other hand, when I'm talking about kids being overwhelmed by education, well, think about like if we're back in Canada or so on, maybe he's lacking on math, or maybe the taekwondo is not as accessible as it is here, or whatever it may be.
Right.
So it's kind of like like I told you before, I'm a Libra. I like balancing things. So that's all we have to do is balance his education and and his support from us, basically,
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's well said to recognize that
Sure.
there isn't the challenges are still challenges. It's how you navigate it that
Yeah,
ultimately lead to probably the most success. Anyways, Ed,
absolutely.
over to you.
No
Hmm.
problem, Patrick. A conversation piece. I want you to compare you adjusting to a new country to being a father.
Wow. Um, that's a tricky one. I wasn't ready for that one. How about this? When I first got to Korea, I was like 24. I don't remember.
Yeah.
24. You're young at heart. You're all ready to go. You're open to challenges. When I got my son at 40 years old, I was in the middle of a struggling business, and and a business partner, which I'm not going to get into, but I had that in my mind. Plus, I got a pregnant wife and a business, and so on. So when fatherhood came along, I think that's where the Daddy Simply blog name came out. I think I was over overthinking things more than I should have when the fatherhood thing came. So that's why I think, like, if fathers, or moms for that matter too, overthink things, I think they might struggle more than they should be struggling or not struggling. You see, so my point is that when fatherhood came along, it was not overwhelming. It was not a negative. There was no noise. The poop was not that bad. It's not expensive, like everybody said. So kind of like all this stuff you hear around. Oh my God, we don't want to be a father. I don't want to be a mom. It's expensive. It's blah. You know what? Yeah, kids are priceless. So you can't put a price on a kid. And Daddy Simply just came out of that. Being a daddy is simpler than people might think, I guess, when you think about it. That's my perspective on things. Maybe because I've got a really good son, and again, I'm knocking on wood on things, but he's been a great, great, great boy to us. So, yeah, lots of fun, so much fun.
So for most dads, they wouldn't say that. But so how did you get into that simple mindset when it came to fatherhood? What experiences led you to get
Mm.
to that zone?
Yeah, I I think I don't know if it's my background or it's again me balancing things or being trying to stay calm in a hectic session. I'm not
Well,
sure exactly.
I just want to interrupt. You
Hmm.
mentioned earlier on your dad was a calm guy.
Yeah, it was pretty calm.
So
Yeah,
could that be some of the influence of you being
could
a
be,
calm guy, calm
could be,
father?
could be. It could be. Maybe my wife won't agree with the calmness, but I think,
Okay.
but yeah, I think I think overthinking things, which I do often when it comes to scenarios or so on. So I think when before my son came along, I was thinking all these potential. Oh my goodness, it's not gonna like this, and it never happened. So I don't know what happened. I think I just fell into fatherhood in a good way, and I embraced it more than I thought I could have. And I don't know if that's from my father or genes or my astrological sign. I have no idea, but I truly embrace the fact that I have a little boy at home and it's so much fun. I guess it has to be, again, like I mentioned to you, being in a not your native country kind of deal and having him beside you. And, he's nurturing me, I'm nurturing him, and we're kind of like growing together as, as guys. And it's really, really good and fun to see. So, he taught me about patience, which I've never had in my life. So, simply stated, yes. So,
Well, I loved two of the words you used there, embrace. Well,
yeah,
especially the word embracing it
yeah,
and nurturing. I
yeah.
love those two words that you
All
shared there.
right.
Drew, back
Thank
to
you.
you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Patrick. And
Mm,
I really love the message that for me, the phrase that came to mind was, cutting through the noise. You
yeah,
talked about all these different influences. So it's going to be this, it's going to be that.
right,
And just cut through the noise and just focus on the simple aspect of this is my child. And
right.
I want to be there for my child and I want to
Exactly.
experience and enjoy my child. And how do you do that? You cut out the noise and you just
Right.
focus there on the relationship and being present. And so I think that's really powerful. I love that message.
Thank you.
And, the element of just the benefit that you both gain. So,
Right.
you said he's teaching me, and awesome. Most often you maybe think of, I can't wait to be a dad and teach my kid things. I want
Mhm.
to help them do this. I want to help them achieve that. But really what you're saying is this is a mutually beneficial relationship.
Absolutely.
And to piggyback onto Ed's comment, the ability to embrace that it's a mutually beneficial relationship, as opposed to, I've always got to be the one who's doing, I've always got to be the one who's providing, I always got to be the one who's protecting. I always,
Yeah.
actually, how can we learn and grow together and
Mhm.
enjoy this experience together? How can I embrace these sometimes hard, unusual, scary moments
Right.
for what they are, and then just stay focused there. So I really love the principles that are underlying what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Thank you.
go ahead, Ed.
yeah, I just want to jump in really quickly
Mm.
too. I really love the message you're sharing with our family here today, because I feel that your child makes your life better,
Absolutely.
right?
In all ways,
There you
all ways, shapes, and forms.
go.
Yeah.
Your son makes your life better, and I'm sure if we brought him on, he'd say the same thing. So
Yeah, he's cool.
it's a co-creative journey through life that you're
Absolutely.
doing together.
Right.
So I really appreciate that, what you're saying, that you're really saying to all that parents, your kids should be making your life better.
Sure. Absolutely. I think when before the kids come, all this, like you said, Drew, all this noise around social media, this and that. And at the end of the day, when you're putting that boy or that little girl to sleep and you're lying beside them, you're like, wow, really? That's what parenting's about? How fantastic is this? How dare somebody doesn't want a child in their life? They can have their own decisions, but wow, having a child, I should have had him decades ago. So that's my point. Have a kid,
Mm.
it's fantastic.
Are you a dad who feels like you're juggling a million things at once? Balancing work, family, and personal goals can be overwhelming. But what if there was a solution? That's why we created our new fatherhood community called Dad Mentor. For over 20 years, Dad Central has built practical tools to help dads. We understand the challenges you face and provide the support you need to thrive. The biggest complaint we hear from dads is there's no dedicated support for their specific needs. But not anymore. Our new community, called Dad Mentor, is here to transform your fatherhood experience. Imagine feeling in control, staying calm and patient when your children misbehave. Picture yourself connected to your children, guiding them with confidence and watching them succeed. When you join Dad Mentor, you'll have access to a community of like minded dads committed to their dad journey, just like you. You'll also get the Dad's Roadmap. This is a step by step plan to help you go from unsure to unstoppable as a dad. Monthly masterclasses and Q&A sessions. You'll get answers and know exactly what to do straight from experts. Monthly group meetups that connect dads over common topics. A dad's resource library, curated webinars, podcasts, or guides built by Dad Central to help you grow as a parent. And finally, you'll also get exclusive members-only offers and events. Now, many dads do try to do this father thing alone, only to find themselves trapped in frustration and strained relationships. Then they may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like drugs, alcohol, or other distractions, leaving their family and their own well-being at risk. We don't want you to reach that point of regret. Take steps to invest in you and your family today. Join Dad Mentor and go from stressed, tired, and overwhelmed to confident, calm, and connected. Join us today by going to dadcentral.ca/dads. One of the phrases I used to say to a few people, probably primarily because of some of the challenges of it, is that you want a personal growth experience.
Right.
Become a parent. And so can you, you're talking about the enriching part, the beautiful part of it. And I
Right.
think that's what makes parenting so beautiful and
Right.
rewarding.
Sure.
But what about the elements of, embracing some of the harder parts where you're actually growing? The goal of Daddy Simply is helping dads
Mhm.
achieve wellness, growth, and fun. And so let's talk a little bit about that growth aspect. How do you think dads can really embrace that through some of these challenges they might
Yeah.
experience?
Well, I think like growth for me is like finding that weakness, right? Because everybody's got their own weakness, whether it be, I don't know, it could be like uh, lack of patience or being a worry wart like I was and still am, or like chocolate, whatever your weakness is, right? That child is gonna find that, and you have to work on that. I think nobody's perfect, and I'm not saying I'm perfect and I want 20 kids in my life. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you know your weakness because I knew my weakness. I still know my weaknesses, and I try to work at those. So I work at those and build on the strength that I have. So you know your strengths as well. Probably you should. Every dad should. Every parent should. So work on the strength and try to not eliminate, but at least diminish or work on also your weaknesses. And it gets a good balance. I love balance. Balance is fantastic. And your kids are gonna feel that. They're gonna know that, you know. They're gonna see you grow because they're gonna say that's not the same dad that was with me 10 years ago in a good way, right? And it should be like that. It's a growing session for everybody.
Yeah, love that, Ed.
Hmm.
Patrick,
Yeah.
how you said it, but I really wanted to focus on how has your son made you a better?
Better in many cases. Whether it be, watching my diet. I eat well. We eat well here. My wife's a fantastic cook. Wow. If ever you're in Korea, please come on over. Um, she's a fantastic cook. She's a fantastic mom. I think what my son really taught me is not to worry too much. I don't know if it's in my genes or something. I worry all the time. So I think he's the type of like calm guy like me. I guess he's getting there, and he's showing me not to worry about many little minute stuff that I shouldn't be worried about. Patience also. How about drinking? I don't drink every day, but I used to have a few beers a month or whatever it may be, and now I diminish quite a bit because I don't want to drink around him. So that kind of helps, me grow up
Right.
in that case. Be healthy, and keep a long lifespan for him.
Okay. I also want to
Yeah.
add, and we always amplify this in regards to dads getting
Mm.
support.
Yes.
Do you have any father support where you are? Or are you basically navigating it on your own and through Daddy Simply?
Yeah, all by my own. I'm not gonna. Yeah, if you're talking about like fathers per se,
Yeah.
I'm not navigating everything on my own. Let me backtrack here. Um, there are communities here, like there's expat dad Facebook groups, which actually I'm gonna meet them next week for the Easter egg hunt festival that happens annually. One of my great friends, he lives nearby. He's an American expat too, and he's got a daughter also, which is similar age to my son. So when there's issues, we can talk to each other. But like in terms of like family or other bigger support groups like Dad Central, it's very limited here. There are groups such as Dad Central, but it's in the Korean language, so that limits me in terms of what's accessible in my case. But yeah, there's simple dad groups around you can you know touch upon and so on.
True.
Yeah, well, I mean, Patrick, I really appreciated just
Mm.
the simplicity of your
Yeah,
message,
thank you.
and I love the word embracing,
Right,
embracing the opportunity, embracing the beauty that comes from it. But we like to also give fathers something practical to take
yeah,
away. So maybe two questions I'd love to get your
sure.
perspective on as we wrap up the conversation is, based on our conversation, like, what do you think's what is one question dads should be asking themselves about their own fatherhood journey?
All right. I think like, and I've mentioned this to some of my entourage or people around me. Um, if you just sit like on your bed one day and ask yourself that question: What can I do to improve Ask yourself that question. There's no phone around, your spouse is not around you, the kids are not around. Just sit in the dark and ask yourself that question. What can I do to improve? Do I need to lose weight? Should I go jogging? Should I stop smoking? Should I get a better education? And whatever it may be, change jobs, change cities, change countries, for God's sake, whatever it may be. I think that's what people or guys need to sit down and talk to themselves. Not too loudly, the neighbors might complain, but just ask yourself, seriously. That's all.
Yeah.
They can ask and they'll get that answer.
What is one thing
100%.
I can do to improve?
What is it?
Awesome. Okay. And then what's one action that dads can take based on what you've shared today?
Um, Work on your weakness, get your strength stronger, and try to get some type of exercise.
Mm.
Whatever it may be. Take a walk after dinner, go jog around the block, go take a hike, go hiking somewhere, buy a new bike, go biking, take a walk with the wife after that. What simple things like this make a huge difference. And you do that daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it may be, it adds up after the next few years. I rarely miss a gym day. I don't have six pack abs. I'm not an Arnold Schwarzenegger, but let me tell you, like a gym session in the morning before anybody wakes up, wow, wow. It'll change your life. It'll change your family because you're going to get home. You're going to be in a better mood. Your endorphins are kicking in. Your kids are going to feel that. They're going to see, wow, dad goes to the gym. I'm going to do that too when I grow up. So little things like that. Kids mimic, monkey see, monkey do, right? And I read about that on Daddy Simply. Kids look at you, they mimic, you know. So make yourself better to make themselves better in the future, right?
Love that message.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick.
Simple stuff. Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking as we start to close it down, where can people get in touch with you?
Well, as you mentioned, Ed, I'm on daddysimply.com. It's a simple website, lots of good stuff on there. You can click on. There's a Facebook group that I run. It's very small. It's very intimate, and that's called what's the name? I forgot the name. Fatherhood Forum. It's parenting advice by Daddy Simply. And you can find me on YouTube also. You can click the links there on my website. You can follow them and reach out.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for taking the
Yeah.
time. It's early in the morning or late in the evening, and
Yeah,
we
it's 1 a.m.
appreciate.
here.
Yeah, so we're gonna let you get to it. But first thing, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of being a father, being a husband, being a servant, and we really appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can help you with in regards to the area of fatherhood, please feel free to reach out. Please stay in touch. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Thanks for being here
Thanks,
today.
Awesome
Patrick.
time, guys. Thanks
Take
for
care.
having me.
You.
All right.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, Drew.
Yeah, Ed.
What's
This
up?
was a really enjoyable conversation for me. I really loved Patrick's. You can feel the heart and the love that he has for his son, just
Mhm.
as he expresses it, and you just see him come to life as he talked about that process of becoming a father, and so it's beautiful to see, and it's something that I can relate to as well. I love my fatherhood role. I'm so grateful for it, and so it was the his message and that word of embrace is really what sticks with me. And so I want to be able to continue to apply that every single day and embracing the beauty of this fatherhood role and that my children. So that's my takeaway. How about for you?
Yeah, I piggyback on what you said about the embrace. I like the embrace and nurture. I think
Yeah.
those two words, I think that was really two small words, but it was really powerful when he said that, and just how he's so passionate that him and his son are doing life together,
Yeah.
right? That's a beautiful thing that they're both growing and going through life together is absolutely huge. So South Korea rocks. Maybe we have to go there and get some good food.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Sounds good to
yeah.
me.
All right. So as always, the Dad Central Show is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. Dove Men Plus Care believes that care is the best of a man because when men care for themselves and others, there's a positive impact. Hey, if you want to get in touch, in fact, we'd like you to get in touch with us. So please feel free to email us podcast@dadcentral.ca. Suggestions, ideas, feedback, comments, etc. We'll take it all. We can absorb the body blows. Also, website for you to listen or watch replays of Epic Conversation, dadcentral.ca/podcast. And as always, we have wonderful free resources for dads, parents, caregivers, etc. dadcentral.ca. As always, thanks so much for watching. Spread the word. Like us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts too. So as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace, and we'll see you soon.